So when the war first when it first started,
Hmm.
like where were you and how did you get the news?
It's funny. I got the news. I was on a bed. A friend of mine that I went to school with from Sudan. He sent me these pictures and these videos, like showing I think a bombing or explosion. I don't
And that
remember
was the first day.
the first. I like the first or second day he sent me. It's funny because I had just come back from Belgium. We went on a family vacation, and so I came back, and like a day or two later, he sends me the message like, "This is what's going on." And I think I saw your post. You posted something on Instagram or Facebook about like the start of the war. You know,
Yeah,
I,
I posted like I think the second day
I
was
think it was
my
Eid because
first
it was like
day.
Eid, right?
Yeah, Eid was still it was Eid was on the fourth day of the war.
It was the fourth, yeah. Because I
Yeah,
was like, man, when I first heard this, I was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, this is Ramadan.
yeah. I
Like
think it was
these,
like fourth or fifth day of the war. Yeah, it was deep, man. Yeah, yeah.
because it's like the end of Ramadan, right?
It was the end of Ramadan. It was in Ashar al-Akhir.
Yeah, I was like, these jokers are fighting at Ramadan.
Yeah,
I was like, my behalf Allah, they like just, and because I'm sure both sides are fasting. Like you would assume both sides are fasting, right? So it's just like, what are y'all fighting for? Like, y'all couldn't have waited at least until after, like, let the people have a Eid and all that stuff, and
not
then,
because the whole plan was April 15th.
mm-hmm,
Okay, so it didn't matter if it fell under Ramadan or Eid or
mm-hmm.
that was an agreement, and when they were going to decide to do that, and that was it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Invasion day.
yeah, because I didn't know like there were some things happening in the background. It was just like, look, this is what's going on in Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
So, eventually, my mom called me and the family called me. They're like, this is what's going on. And, in the beginning, they're like, it's all good. It's no big deal. We're safe and everything's fine. But I knew in the back of my mind, like, this is how all wars start. They start off like this
Mm-hmm.
and they say everything is fine and it's in these like faraway areas. And then eventually it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Just like happened in Syria and all the other countries, So, like, every day that I'm calling them and they're telling me it's fine, I'm always hoping like, okay, it's gonna be good news. But in the back of my mind, it's like, there's something's gonna happen because that's just how war is. And you always have to be like, uh, you always have to be in a state where anytime something can pop off, you can't be complacent. You can't be complacent. You always got to be ready to move. So I knew eventually that's what was gonna happen. And then after that, it started getting worse and getting worse, and you could tell by the activity on social media, not just from your family, but just in general, you could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You could feel it. And I remember like, my mom and brother-in-law, they're sending me like, you got to help us get out. Talk to the State Department. Um, they sent me the passports and the passport copies because I think there was the evacuation, right? Or was the
Yeah.
evacuation in Soba?
I still, I don't know. It was the embassy evacuation. It was from the embassy from Soba, and it was like all these helicopters. But I don't think that was planned for any
What
of
was that?
us.
I knew
You
this
know.
wasn't. It wasn't really gonna like
Yeah.
work as them because they made it seem like it was all normal, like it was a normal procedure. But we knew it wasn't. It wasn't gonna be black and white like that.
Mm.
So yeah, they sent me the passports and the numbers and all that stuff, and I talked to the State Department, and yeah, it didn't work. Like some people had their passports, some people their passports were old. So like maybe the people whose passports were up to date, they could have left. But obviously, we have family members whose passports weren't up to date or didn't have passports,
Mm.
and that's something that I felt like sometimes people didn't get. When I would tell them that, like, yes, obviously our family's American, so technically, like, yeah, they can leave and come to the United States, like, come back to their home country, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in Sudan, the family is bigger than just your brothers and sisters. It's like it's big, and so like you just can't just leave people who you're close to.
Right.
Like even if you have an American passport, you can't just leave because you got other people who are dependent on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we had cousins and we had brothers and sisters and nieces and
Right.
nephews. who
People that
didn't.
live together. Yeah,
Exactly, they live together. That's the thing. They live together. It's not like
part of
they
the
live
same
in
life.
two
Yeah.
different sides of the country. No, they live together.
Right.
They all eat from the same plate. Whatever you go through, they go through. So you can't just up and leave them, right? So that was another issue, right? Because then once the evacuation, once the Americans, they came to did the evacuation, but then obviously they left. And so none of our people got on. I'm sure none of your people got on either.
No. No.
So because, not everyone had all the proper documents, they had to stay. And so from there, that's when you start to panic. You feel like you start to panic because, okay, the Americans left. Now what's going to happen, right? And like these two feelings that come over you. There's a survivor's guilt because like, okay, like, I'm here. I get to wake up. I get to go to work, drive. I can eat what I can like every day. I can eat something different. I can wear whatever I want. I can decide to buy new things today, right? So like that's a guilt that you feel because, every day that you're living life normally and doing what you want to do, you're saying there's a risk that every day, that each day that goes by, the Janjaweed may come and attack them. Because they didn't go to Egypt straight away. They were in. My family was in Soba for a while.
Yeah, I remember hearing. We used to check up on each other. And
Exactly, they were in Soba for a while. Like they didn't go to Halfa. They went to Halfa later. Because we had to like organize stuff. We had to organize money and so many things so they could all together go to Halfa, not like one or two people, the whole family. So yeah, that was one issue, the survivor's guilt, right? And then there's another deeper issue, which is, sometimes I would say to myself, like, man, my family, they have American passports, but there's a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people who don't. Or not forget American passports. Forget that's so far away. Just normal passports. Just normal passports. Or some people can't even get to Halfa. Some people would have to stay in Khartoum. Or they can't go to no other state.
And many people are still there.
Exactly. So that was even for me, that was the worst because like these are also your people. They're also my people. So it's like because like some you could say okay, and them jaws at them eventually they could figure something out. But what about the other people? That was also painful. This was painful, but it's just like you just got to stay focused, and you have to like I don't want to say attack, but you have to go for what's like the most important that you see at that moment. Obviously, the people who are your family, direct family, those are the most important people, and so that's like sometimes you just have to block everything out and stay focused with that. And alhamdulillah, we were able to raise some funds and send some money and help people get situated. It wasn't just us, alhamdulillah, we had people in Sudan and other countries who also like facilitated this, like getting the apartment in Egypt, getting the bus, transferring the money, because sending the money to Zafta was an issue. It wasn't just send the money, like you got to send it through this person, and that person. So alhamdulillah, it was we were able to facilitate this. But yeah, these are the things that you think about, and it made me really think about like our brothers and sisters from Palestine and the ones that live in Jordan, because they have family who are here, and obviously we've always felt or tried to feel what they feel, living in Palestine under the occupation, and we always pray for them and want the best for them, but you don't understand that until it happens to you.
That it happens to your own blood.
Exactly.
Or to you personally.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. This is something that is so underestimated when it comes to people who weren't personally inside the war. People think like, okay, you're fine. It's more than just safety that it's needed for people to survive. I think safety is the number one thing, more important than anything, even freedom. It's actually being safe. But at the same time, a lot of people, everybody goes through it. When that's the meaning of a community. that everyone is involved. Everyone has to go through the same struggle in their own different way. And if you are physically affected, there's some other people who have been affected in other ways as well.
Exactly.
Even if they're abroad, they've been in other countries. And then the other thing I want to say is that a lot of people think it ends when basically leave the battlefield, or you're evacuated from the city that the war is active. Like, oh, you guys are out. Thank God, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, salam, and that's it. You good. But they have no idea that the struggle just started.
Exactly.
Right? That was just the beginning. That was like Shaya Sabah. Right? Exactly. But once you get out, your day just started. Your life just started. Like, everything you have built, everything you have planned, everything you had set up, in all aspects, is no longer there. And you're responsible to take care of all of this, replace it, and help others do it while everybody's safe, while everybody's being taken care of. Like, you took time to build what you had before the war, and you get to lose it all. So you have to start all over. And everyone lives under their own way of life, their budget, their planning, how they spread out their life, how they spread out their time. And then overnight, you have a complete new lifestyle, a complete new beginning and end, I guess, right?
Exactly.
So, the war it's on. It's on, man. Like, the real war happens after you survive.
For sure.
Rebuilding the person, rebuilding the areas that were damaged, rebuilding everything, rebuilding the economy, rebuilding the country, building the societies again. And that's where the real work is. That's where the big effort is.
Oh, yeah.
Is to make that difference.
Oh, yeah.
For me personally, like, I went to Sudan in 2015 to build something. I've always felt that I was responsible and had the urge to make a difference. So, spent those years working on a particular area, while Sudan was suffering as a country in general from different aspects, and bad management as a country, and I believe it's on purpose, by
the powers that be.
The powers that control the whole region and maybe the world.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to be spooky, but it's real.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
there.
Exactly.
Especially if countries that have been colonized and never really got full independence. People think they're independent. They're not. You know what I mean? They still rely on everything from one area. And if that area feeds you and gives you everything you think it's needed to survive, well, they control even your mindset and what goes on the ground. So, at that time, it was so important to go back and do something. And sadly, we have been affected as well. But this is the time for us and everyone who wanted to make plans on making a difference. It's the time to make some type of difference.
Oh, yeah.
And if our country needed anybody more, we'll be right now.
Oh, yeah.
In all aspects. Yeah.
For sure.
And everybody's affected. And I think that's really something important for people to understand, how much every person gets affected in this war who's related to anything to that country. If you had, even if you didn't have relatives, it was just your business was there. It's your damage. Everything has been affected. So, and it's and again, something that I think it's really important, that even though the war is still going on, and we support one side, which is the national army. We support the people. We stand with the people. It's bigger than that. The wars are much bigger than that, and it's something that happens all the time. It's just something that happens all the time. That's why when people ask me, it's like, man, are you good? How'd you get out? Man, I'm sure I run into old friends here, and immediately they're like, man, you straight? And I'm like, yeah, it's good, man. I mean, it's life, man. And I'm always, I'm very. I'm not saying it's a good thing to be positive about, but I am positive about the situation, and I've always understood that if people slack in certain areas of the countries, wars go off, and we know that, and it always happens. You have two ways: wars from inside or invasions from other, and some have a combination. And what happened to us is similar. It's just different places, different times. So learning how to adopt, make it work quickly, it's going to
Mm.
change your life, and it's very stressful for all of us to start over like this, man.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know,
For
30
sure.
something years you work on yourself to do something, right? And then you have to change everything overnight. So it's something very tough with a lot of people who are responsible, who we are responsible for, and we take pride in that, you know. And I think this is very important. This is the true meaning of being the man, which a lot of people don't want to take that responsibility today.
Mm.
But this is the real thing, man.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. You know,
you
I.
got all this strength and all this muscle
What was it
for a
for?
reason
Mm.
to get the job done, right?
Exactly.
So you just
Exactly.
do it, man. You got to work with it and take one step at a time, one day at a time, you know,
Exactly.
and we can make it work.
Exactly. I think.
Right.
I think what this war really like. Obviously, I knew these things,
Mm.
but it reinforced it. You know, the first thing is like during a time like this, like having a community. You know, being part of a community. This was very important because I know that I wouldn't have been able to help my family without other people's help. You know, like we could talk about our friend Ahmed. Man, Ahmed and his family, they helped me so much, so much. You know, um, and so it reminds me like to be part of a community and you know to to give like things that you have, the gifts that you have, money that you have. Don't hold it in your heart. Let the money be in your hand. Let it be in your hand. Let it stay in your hand, and
Yeah.
just give. You know, um,
Yeah.
it also helped me to realize like because you know to get the help for this, like sometimes we as people or men, we have egos and we don't want to admit that we're in a situation, or we don't want to you know get financial help from people. We may say like, oh, this
Yeah,
stuff.
your pride.
Exactly, our pride.
Your pride won't
You
allow
know,
that. Yeah.
and so like for some people it may be easier, but some people have pride in different things, right? And I can say for myself, like
Right. Right.
it's not easy to just to ask for help, you know. But you know that this is something bigger than you, right? And this is not a time to focus on your ego or pride or whatever. This is the time to help others, you know. And so when you're in that, when you know this is a situation like this, like you gotta, it's a time where you gotta kill the ego, you know. Um, so yeah, these are the valuable lessons that the war helped
Mm.
reinforce. You know, being a part of community, not being so prideful, and just to be supportive. You know.
Definitely. I'm gonna add on to that because you just hit the spot on that. I mean, a community, and I'll add, you know, the importance of even a family working together as a
Mm-hmm.
structure as one
Mm-hmm.
unit. And when we speak of a community, for me personally, I will be honest. Um, I don't think I would have evacuated or even survived the way I did. Not just me, but even my family and many of friends of ours or students of mine, if it wasn't for in particular, the jiu-jitsu community and the
Mm-hmm.
martial art community in general, and in particular the jiu-jitsu community. Um, I mean, I give thanks to them all the time, man. And like I always say, many support has come even from those who I've never even met.
Mm-hmm. Same.
We know,
Same.
we
You
know,
know.
we know them online. We respect each other. We watch, you know, see what they're doing, and they see what we do, and we give each other shout outs, and you know, keep up your head, keep doing your thing. But it was much more than that. When life would, you know, we needed that support. We needed to work together as a community. They were there, and it wasn't even about jiu-jitsu, man. It was about, are you good, your people good, what can I help with, how can I help.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, my mentors were always my trainers, my professors in the art itself, were always there for me, even before the war. And during the war, yeah, I mean, I'm honestly, like, I don't really even know what to say. I could thank them for the rest of my life. It will never owe up to, and it's not about, you know, what they have done, how much you have gave, what if you do. No, 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 no. it was about, I was in a situation of almost life or death of your family, of yourself, and what was needed was provided at that time, and it worked, and you evacuated, and everybody's safe. And I owe everything to those who stood by us and supported us
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
forever,
Same
forever.
here, man.
You
Same
know,
here.
and if it wasn't, you know, for this beautiful art of jiu-jitsu, and we're going to talk more about that in a different time.
Hmm.
But I don't think it would have went the same way
Oh yeah.
if it wasn't for
Hmm.
this community.
For sure.
And
For sure.
and this just is a proof of, whatever you give out into life comes back to you. And if
Hmm.
you're with the right people will be there for you.
For sure.
And you just give respect, you earn respect. And if you look out, like you said earlier, about you just giving and looking after the people will be there for you to look after you. So
Hmm.
being very grateful. And as a family, as people working together, I understand a lot of people go after their own goals in life, and they separate, and especially here in America, our family,
Excuse me.
it's the people live a lot of far apart lives, and I'm guilty of that as well. I'm very loner, kind of like my own thing. And I understood, it's bigger than that. It's not about how you feel. It's not always about your way. It's not always about how you see life. Sometimes it's greater than that. And I
Mm.
think that's where wisdom kicks in, man. When you understand that it's life is much bigger than you. It's much bigger than the things you see, or the view out of life, the way
Hmm.
you see it. It's much greater. It's much bigger,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah. You can't live this life alone.
you can.
You can't live this life
Yeah,
alone.
yeah. So I advise, make the right friends, be part of the right community, connect to them, look after others whenever you can,
Oh yeah.
because the time will come for you. And just be
Exactly.
prepared for whatever happens, and be flexible. And in particular, for those who have survived the war, if they were in the war, after the war, or during the war, it's going to be a very, very hard, difficult time from the day the war began. And it's still hard, and it's going to continue for a very long time. But we have a choice, and the choice is the hard time that we're going to go through, we could come out in the other side victorious, achieve things, make a difference, build our country again, improve ourselves, gain knowledge from these obstacles, gain some wisdom out of the difficulties we went through. Or we could just do the opposite and let everything go, and we could lose ourselves and go into depression and stress and fall apart because of the tough times that we're going to. A way or another, they're going to be tough, and the time is going to pass, and it's our choice to make the decision of how we want it to end. And inshallah, I think a lot of the Sudanese people in general, at this moment, are very well connected, very well
Hmm. Oh
united,
yeah. Oh yeah.
understand what really is happening here in the country. And when you understand what was planned and what is happening and how much people have suffered so far, and still are willing to sacrifice for a better, beautiful tomorrow, Sudan, what we lost is no big deal, inshallah. And we will get through it and make it happen, bismillah.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah. I say like obviously the war is a terrible thing, but Allah has put us in this situation as a way to get a reward. For especially I'm talking about the ones who live outside of Sudan, to help to provide to get the extra reward. This could be our path to paradise, our path to Jannah. So even though it's not a good situation to be in, but it's a situation for people like me and for people like yourself to elevate us, to become better people, and to hopefully be favored in the eyes of Allah, of God. So
yeah, man. I think that will be all we got for today's episode. Yeah, man. Catch us on our next one, and we'll be sharing more war stories right here on the Muqatel's voice. The fighters, the warriors, all those who experience their lives as a lesson, and seek deeper meaning in life than just going to work every day and coming back home. If you're trying to find it, this is the place to be. as let's look for it together and find the true meaning of what life is all about. Assalamu alaikum.